Okay, I've been called to do this live stream about the eclipses and the eclipse seasons that we're in now and what happens over the eclipses. Like, because a lot of people will break up with relationships or have issues in their relationship. Everything's like heightened over the eclipses. Past patterns come up. You can feel tired, lethargic, or you can be really energized and enjoy and all these things. And I see so many different people in different, I've noticed particularly these 3 tiers of consciousness that happen over the eclipse seasons. And I felt really called to share them with you so that number one, you can find out which eclipse tier you're in, and then also how to heal the stuff that's coming up for you in the eclipses and get to where you want to be if you're not where you want to be, especially over the eclipse seasons. So right now we're in an eclipse season. We've just had a partial eclipse. We're about to head into a total eclipse. Well, at the timing of this live stream right now, on our full moon, which is in about 10 days from now. I think about 10 days, is that right? 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, exactly 10 days. This 10-day cycle that we're talking about here. Okay, so let me share this with you. And I've got my little drawing thing that I love drawing, these little diagrams. And I felt really, really cool to share this with you because I do see this with a lot of people over over this period in time. And this is just a helpful tool to be able to pick out where you are, because a lot of like relationship patterns, breakups, just things surface, and not even just with the relationships, with career choices, feeling lost, confused, headaches, physical ailments, all the things. So we're going to go over those and where you're at in the eclipses, why it happens in eclipses, what to do about it, and not get stuck in it, of course. So I'll concentrate for a second and share this. While you're waiting, say hi. Let me know where you're from. Let me know if you're watching on the replay, if you're watching replay, or if you're live with me right this moment. Okay, concentrating for a second. Canada. All right, one more place to share it. Perfect. Okay. Listening from Virginia, USA, Gold Coast. More Canadians here. Awesome. All right, I'm going to bring this up so I can see your comments too. Gold Coast. Hi, Phil. So I've just come out of Transcendence live stream, which is just like potent, some potent stuff in there. And then what we were talking about led into this alchemy. And I was like, oh my God, this is the energy and the alchemy I shared in my Life Purpose Accelerator Telegram group, which is my inner circle. I shared this article last night that just totally blew me away. And it's just the energy of just such this transformative time that we're in right now. Like the world is, just starting to come out of chaos, but everyone's like on edge and in this sort of vigilant state of like, okay, but what's next and what's happening? And, like this next, like everyone's like waiting, it feels like, right? And on these eclipses, it is interesting, right? So eclipses happen and there's like seasons of them. And it's interesting, I heard Pam Gregory, the astrologer, talk about like the effect of the eclipses can be felt like 6 months either side of the like the season of it, right? Because it's over a couple of weeks that it happens on new moon, total, full moon, etc. And I was like, well, that's pretty much like the timeline of when the next eclipse is. So we're kind of like always in the energy of it. And then if we look at the energy of not just eclipses, but, of life combined, and then all the astrological lineups that happen with it as well. It can be like really almost overwhelming, confusing, and just like, oh my God, is this really happening? But if you look back over the timeline, like if you were to pull up a timeline of when all the eclipses have been, and when you've been going through one of the hardest times of your life, whether it's a relationship breakup, whether it's a spiritual awakening, whether it's you know, like any major event in your life, it more than likely is around a potent portal of the eclipses. Now, over this period of time, like I said, I have seen, you know, and worked with many, many clients over the years, and, you know, been doing this work for many, many years. And I always see these certain patterns, and I always see these certain tiers of consciousness that people are in. When I say tiers, I mean like levels of consciousness. I don't like using levels, tiers, but let's just use that for an example. So I'm going to talk about the 3 different tiers of eclipses and what happens to you over these eclipse periods in time. Now, I think if I turn this camera around, I wonder if it'll let me. Yes, because that way when I'm drawing, it should be clear for you to see. Okay, perfect. So this first, astrology is helpful. Yeah, astrology and all these things are helpful. And then it gets to a point in your mastery of the evolution of consciousness of yourself and your soul and what you're here to do in the world is to then, like your next, like your, there's many levels of mastery, of course, but coming outside of the effects of the moon cycles, the eclipses, astrological events, like when you have stepped outside of the loop, if you may, of how these things affect you, then you've really reached a level of mastery. Then you've really reached your potent power, your soul power, and can really do anything in the world. We can do anything in the world anytime, but you know, like astrology, learning all different personality traits, human design, blah, 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 blah. Like, yes. And then drop the label, drop the effect that it has on you, and then what is left in your life? Then what happens? Then how do you, you know, like that's really what it's about. And this is like when I talk about the tiers of consciousness, it's like the layers and levels of consciousness, the stages of awakening. And, you know, like where are you in the stage of awakening, right? And I talk about this in Trust Intuition as well, in a way of like being able to trust your intuition of the different layers, different stages, different, you know, potent portals of consciousness that we step in and through and then grow beyond, because we're always evolving and growing. And if we're stuck at any level, we can feel depressed, sad, like, you know, held down, held back, feeling like we're held captive, like all the things, right? So let me see if I can, if I bring this up here, there we go. Okay, so of course there's probably like more layers and tiers of consciousness of going through these portals, but let's just stick with these 3 main ones to keep it simple. Okay, so the eclipses, eclipse tiers, let's call them. Oh, and look at my spelling back to front. So, you know, it's IE. The one things I always get mixed up with is IEEI, but I can see when I write it, I'm like pretty sure it's the other way around. 3 tiers, it is. So is that going to annoy someone? So I'm just going to leave it there. I'm very conscious when I write it. I'm like, nope, it's the other way around. Anyway, I've written it out, whatever. I'm perfect and I'm not perfect. So here we go. Okay, so in the first eclipse tier, now some things I share with this may just trigger the fuck out of you. And maybe that's what you need to watch it for. And maybe you just need to like not watch the rest of this live stream because maybe it's not ready for you guys. Like maybe you just don't need to be triggered right now, but some things I say might trigger you. Okay, so stage 1, tier 1, I'm going to call it a tier. For some reason, tier was the word that came through. So in tier 1, you are not actually healing. You are on the pain train. You are choosing pain over and over and over and over. Okay, I'm just going to cross these out because we're going to have more come up here. Pain train, choosing pain, not willing to heal. Now, contradictory statements, because you might be like, but I am, Hannah. You have no idea what I'm going through right now. I don't have a choice in this. This is happening and this is my reality. And I'm like, I know, because I've been there. Not willing to heal. But maybe you are so frustrated and angry and pissed off at me for saying these things because actually there is a part of you that is willing to heal. Yeah? There is a part of you that is willing to heal. And what's coming through in these eclipses is the absolute, like, in your face reality that is like breaking your heart because you don't want to be here anymore. And I don't mean like don't want to be on the planet anymore. I mean, don't want to be in this potent point of the reality of that which you find yourself in. So an eclipse is almost like pulling back the veil. Can you see what you're living in? This is what you want to be living in. Okay. And when you start to experience these in your faces reality, this is where the anger can come up. Okay. Anger can be rife, right? Anger and also sadness and tears, of course, because underneath all anger is sadness and tears. But the anger can start to hit and you can get really triggered by people really quickly or have a short fuse, all those sorts of things. Why? Because this is happening. In your face reality stuff is like, is this really my reality? Is this really, how the fuck did I end up here? How is this what I really want to, this is not what I want to see right now, okay? This is tier 1. Yeah, this is tier 1. And then it goes into these deeper levels, which goes into what you've moved through. So some of you guys might be listening and you're like, yeah, I used to be like that, but I'm not here anymore. And some of you might be like, yeah, this is really where I'm at. Yeah. And so all this anger comes up and you have to remember that anger is showing you what is important to you. Because if something happens and you get angry, you're like, oh, I don't want to be doing this. Or, you know, why are you doing that again? Or even with yourself, you're like, why am I doing that again? Because actually you don't want to be here anymore. So anger is showing you that that's not what you want anymore. That's not important to you. This is more important. And I'm angry because I'm not doing that, but I'm here stuck doing this. I'm here in this reality, facing this reality still. And this is not what I want anymore. Now, sometimes the anger can be because there is a part of you that is willing to heal, but you are really stuck because if you feel stuck and angry because you might be having people in your face like me tell you that you're like, but I don't freaking want this and I know I need to heal, but I don't know what to do. I'm stuck, Hannah. Like, I know I don't want this anymore, but sometimes the anger can be really there because we know what we don't want, but we don't know how to shift it and we don't know how to get to where we want. And we might see other people living in a reality that we want and we get really upset because we know that's not what we want. But we don't know how to shift our reality. We don't know how to get there, right? And that's when you can get really depressed and upset and, you know, I want to say stagnant and, you know, like pissed off or sometimes it can show up as unmotivation. Sometimes it can show up as depression. Sometimes it can show up as anger. And it's simply this sort of like vortex thing where you're just like, yeah, but how do I get there? Yeah, but what else do I do? Okay. And this is where you can like be in this cyclic, like choosing pain. And it goes around and around and around and around and around and around because you don't know how to get off the pain train. The pain train is what I call it, the pain train. Calling it the pain train. Pain train. Pain train. Around and around and around and around and around. That is what makes you even more depressed. Because as it goes around and around, it's almost like a spiral down, and you're spiraling down. That's a downward spiral. Right? And it's the pain train and it's cyclic and it comes around every time. And then you might like get through it in whichever way, shape or form. And you get through it to a point where, you know, like you get through it to a point where it just feels like it's like, oh, thank God that's over. But actually the issue might not really be over, but what's over is the eclipse season is over. Until the next eclipse season comes around and then it's gonna like reveal the veil again. It's like, are you going to deal with this yet? And around the pain train we go. that can happen. Okay, and here's another timeline. So let's just put another timeline point on here. What's the purple? That can happen for a period, yeah, of 18 months. You might be like, for real, Hannah? I'm done with this, right? Vishnu says that's where I'm at right now. Yeah, always angry and cycling around. And this can happen for a period of 18 months. Now, I didn't want you to think, oh shit, I've got like another year to go, right? What I want you to be aware of is that what I've noticed after years and years and years of working with clients over the years, there is an 18-month healing portal cycle. And it can feel like whichever tier you're in, okay, like I said, we're working with 3 tiers. I'm just gonna do the tiers here. This is, okay, there's lots of purple coming through in the texts. I want to keep grabbing purple texts. So the eclipse tiers. Okay, I'm writing it correctly this time for those people who get agitated with OCD perfection. So remember the tiers that we're dealing with, right? It's interesting, right? Tiers. The eclipse tiers that we're dealing with can, be over like this period of time. And so when I talk about an 18-month cycle, I feel like it's an 18-month shift into these, okay? But that's not always the case, right? These timelines that we can, work on are always very independent, right? Of course, like there's no set sort of like, it has to be this long a time. Actually, it can be faster and it can also go slower. The biggest thing that has shifted me, okay, there's 2 massive things that if people are like, what did you do? What is the magic pill? What is the silver bullet? What did you do? I'm like, actually, there's 2 things. Number 1, it's high-level mentorship. And when I talk about high-level mentorship, of course, it's cost me thousands and thousands of dollars. That's something that I don't even blink an eye on, and I'm willing to invest in myself because I know where I want to be. And it's not just like, oh, being in a high-level container. It's actually the energetics of it. So it's who you place yourself around, right? And what I mean by that is I mean by in your vicinity. So day in, day out, who are the 5 most people that you connect with on a day-to-day basis? Is it your partner? Is it your kids? Is it your animals? Is it your family? Is it your neighbor? Is it your friends next door or around the corner or down the street or from childhood? Like, is it, who's in your vicinity all the time? If you do not have high-level mentors in that vicinity, you're going to stay stuck and cycle around and be on the pain train, so to speak. Now, that does not mean that when you step into a high-level container working with a mentor, that your stuff doesn't come up and it's not painful. That's not what I'm saying. It's not like, oh, joy and bliss. Like, we always know that when we step forward, stuff's going to come up. It's like, are you really sure you're going to do this? Do you really want to do this? Are you sure? Hang on a sec. I'm just going to throw you some curveballs here for a minute. I'm just going to show you all these things, depending on the person who is supporting you, right? And this is something that I've learned through my own personal experience of being in high-level containers, and then how I mentor my clients as well, is like depending on where that person is at. I do also feel that there is a level of healing that needs to take place no matter what we're shifting out of. And that brings me back to that 18-month portal, right? I do feel that when we really truly commit to shifting our reality and coming through these cycles and these tiers, that's when like there is those shifts, right? But I feel that you need to be held in a container, in a vicinity, by people who are not your everyday people, by not your childhood friends, not your family, not your partner, unless they're in a high-level container with you. Like, and it's not that you have to disconnect from all of them, but it's a reality, right? It is a reality that the 5 closest people with you, the people you connect with on a daily basis, whether that be social media, whether that be on the phone, text message, hang out on the weekend, etc., like they have an impact on your reality. They do. Yeah? If you place yourself around successful people, whether in high-level containers or in, with people who are mentors and living a life that you want to get to, and that they can help you to the next level in your life, whatever that may be, whether it's getting off the pain train and that cyclic pain train, right? It is about stepping into a high level mentorship. Now, you know, depending on where you are in the world, of course, the world is opening up, but that is like attending seminars, you know, events, like, you know, getting yourself around, like physically around people who are going to help you change your life. It is like an energetic rub-off effect. Like, it's a known fact. It's a scientific proven fact that you shift the energy around you, right? Depending on your willingness to grow, evolve, and change, and then the people you hang around. Now, the other piece around that is also your willingness to shift out of pain and into joy. They're the two biggest factors that have shifted me. Now, I've been in high-level mentor containers, and it wasn't until I chose to shift out of pain and into joy did all those rapid shifts that have, you know, embodied through my life actually accelerate. When I chose to heal through joy and not through pain anymore. And then I got sideswiped with a curveball, and they're like, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to do this healing through joy thing? We're just going to test you a little bit more. And I'm like, yep, I'm willing to change. I'm willing to get off the pain train, right? So Ty says, I'm the mentor around me and I'm only 53. Well, that's great. Are you where you want to be? Are you happy in life? Are you living your life purpose to the full extent and expansion of who you're meant to be? And if your answer is yes, I'm like, great. Okay. But there are some people that need that support. Yeah. And so just recapping on the first tier, you're not actually healing. You're on the pain train. You're choosing pain, and it's cyclic, like, and no matter what you do, no matter how many like things you try and do or shift, it's just like, this isn't changing, right? If you haven't worked with a high level mentor, it may be your time to do so now. That is what I do, by the way. So send me a message, right? Of course. Yeah. This is what I do with my clients. Life Purpose Accelerator is open. Link is in the title. You can find it on my page. You can send me a message about it. It's 12 months deep in this container. And that's the other thing, right? You can have a session. You can have like, you know, a month working with someone. You can just do something. And sometimes we need to like, you know, edge into it, you know, 30 days, 60 days, whatever the level container is. Like, you know, we can go and do a once-off healing session, but I'm sorry, but that's not going to shift your life. It might open a can of worms and then you have to deal with the fallout. And that's why being held in a high-level container and for a long period of time is what's going to shift you the most rapidest, fastest like ways. Like if you look at any successful person on the planet, I guarantee you they would be working with mentors in some way, shape, or form and have done so their entire freaking life, if not most of their life. Yeah. So not willing to heal, but the frustration can come. And I want to point out that sometimes that frustration, like, okay, there's a bit of part in this eclipse tier here that we're talking about in this number one here, is that we can be, there's almost like two parts to it, which is here. Yeah. One is almost like an unconscious tier, and this one is a conscious tier. I.e., look, I remembered, right? Conscious tier, I just wrote unconsciousness and conscious. Yellow's not very great for video. And I want to point out, there's nothing wrong with any of this. It's not like, oh, you're stuck in the unconscious tier. There's something wrong with you. Get away from me. I'm laughing because it's just bullshit, okay? If anyone says shit like that to you, get the fuck right away from them. You're being a victim. Stop being in the victimhood of your pain and get off the pain train. If anyone starts coining that term, because I just coined that, by the way, on this live stream, and starts using that and calling these people in the unconscious state of the pain train a victim, oh my God, I want to go and shake them. Because nobody is a victim or stuck in their victimhood. Right? Even when they shift into this conscious tier, okay? Conscious tier of healing of the eclipse and tier one. So that's like, you know, going deeper into the layers of tier one is actually that there's two tiers in here. There's an unconsciousness and there's a conscious tier. And it's not even that when these people are in their conscious tier and they're angry and frustrated and it's really rife, okay? Because what also happens, okay, let me just finish that sentence, right? When that anger is really rife, when they're so frustrated, and especially when it comes around on the eclipses, it's like amplified because they're like, I know, I can see this reality, but nothing I'm doing is shifting it, right? And we break down and it's just like, I give up, I don't know anymore, right? These people are also not in their victimhood. I can't stand that word. Anybody that tells you need to get out of your victimhood has no fucking heart. That's what that is, okay? Because there is a period of time that we need to be in our victimhood. Because actually, what that is, do you know what that actually is? It's you carrying all this pain that nobody has ever heard you. Nobody has ever held you. Nobody has ever known how to shift that pain with you. Now, I'm an intuitive healer and life purpose mentor. Now, I don't heal people. I hold a space and I pinpoint and shift and help you unlock so you can heal. I teach you the tools so you can heal and you are not reliant on me for the rest of my life. I even had someone, I was on my last live stream, I think, and someone was going, you're in your ego. And I'm like, are you for real? Like, I was just like, wow, really? And one of my past students came on and she's like, she's not in her ego, like whatever she said, these beautiful words, right? And she's like, I'm not very active on here anymore because I came to Hannah and she taught me the tools and I've healed and now I don't need her. And I'm like, that, and I'm covered in goosebumps, that is what the best mentor on the planet will do. Just like my own boat here, but any mentor that can teach you the tools and shift you and send you on your way and you fly, they're the ones you want to look for. Not the ones that will keep you in over and over because, you know, like you're not getting it and like you need to be in the space so that you shift and heal and you need to stay here so that you accelerate. No, that's not the point. You choose to be in these containers with the mentors, with the healers, with the people who are actually helping you to shift this, not what's the word? Not victimizing you, that's not the right word, but not like telling you you're being a victim and you're not doing the work. Like, oh, come on. As if that's going to shift them. Shift your vibe, otherwise I can't hang around you. Like, that makes me sick. Don't let me go there. All right, we're sticking to the eclipse tiers, okay? Unconsciousness. So in tier 1, this is tier 1. In tier 1, it splits into 2 tiers of unconsciousness and consciousness, okay? In tier 1, you might find that, you know, like you're not actually healing the pain. They choose the pain train over again. It's cyclic. They're not actually willing to heal. What that actually is number 1, they're just unconscious to it. Number 2, they don't even know that they've got stuff to heal and or they don't want to. Like, they're like, I don't have the problems. There's lots of people on the planet like that, right? And it's just that they're unconscious to it. But their behaviors show otherwise, right? Well, that's just their unconscious behavior to an extent. The thing that it then flips over in this tier 1 is that you become willing to heal, but you're so angry and frustrated because you've tried everything and nothing's happened. Right? And the anger is just like, the anger is the frustration. And I was speaking with a client this week about it because anger is directly related to your solar plexus. It sits, you know, in your solar plexus, which is just below your heart, right? And that's where your liver is. And your liver, you might have heard like the old generational term like SOL, like shit on the liver. So if your liver is full and clogged up, you're going to be shitty and angry, right? Our liver is our filter for our body. It helps to clean your blood and do amazing other features that is just like to run an encyclopedia on it, right? It is amazing, yeah? And so when you're angry, right, and it's really rife, right, is directly related to your solar plexus, and our liver is deeply connected to our third eye chakra as well, right? One of the organs for the third eye chakra is the liver. And so when you're seeing the truth in your reality, when the eclipses pull that veil back, yeah, and you're like, oh, I don't want to be in the eclipse season, shut it off, crack. It's like, no. especially when you just feel stuck over and over and over again. You've done all the things, it's not freaking working, right? There's a few pieces with this. The anger is showing you what's important to you. Like I said, your solar plexus is what's important to you. It's your personal power. It's what you value. It's all those things. Yeah. And so your solar plexus is what you value, what's important to you, but it's also what's in alignment. Your solar plexus and your light and your happiness and your joy, if you are not in alignment of your life, your solar plexus, which is the sun, right? The solar plexus is yellow and your solar plexus is bright like the sun. Your solar plexus will shut down. You notice when you feel disempowered, you have people on pedestals, you don't feel good enough, I'm just going to hide over here, and you wonder what your purpose is and you don't know why you're depressed, because your light, your solar plexus lights up and gives energy and power to the rest of your chakras, to the rest of your body. It is the life force. Like without the sun, we'd die. Simple, right? Same with your solar plexus. Okay, where was I going with that? Okay, and so the anger, right, in the conscious space is you're still on the pain train, but you're willing to heal. It's in your face reality because it's deeply showing you what's out of alignment. Yeah. And when we've been disempowered for so long or been in abusive relationships or situations or anything like that, this is where it takes a while to get our personal power back, our solar plexus light back, because it's been sucked and like drained for however long in these abusive relationships. Okay. So coming back to tier 1, the unconsciousness, the consciousness, it's almost like a journey. Yeah, what we're talking about with the tiers is a journey. So this is where you're discovering where you are on the journey, if you may. So when we're moving through the pain, we'll come into the pain, consciously, because it's very in our face. This one can be like unconscious. And what did you say? So Gabrielle said, like, that's their normal and can't see other possibilities and can't see the possibilities of better. Exactly. That's just normal. They're like, this is just life. This is just, like having a toxic relationship is just normal. What are you talking about? Something else? Like, you just deal with it. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, actually, no, like, it's really unhealthy, etc. Blah, blah. It's not our job to tell them, but you get the point, right? Exactly what you said. Yes. Manu says, I need a good mentor. Yes, that's what I do. Send me a message, or you've got the link on the title of this live stream. You can have a look over the Life Purpose Accelerator. There's 2 tiers, talking about the tiers. There's 2 tiers in the Life Purpose Accelerator. They're both 12 months containers. I love working with people over this way because it is the most powerful way to shift. We go freaking deep in these containers. There's ruby or diamond level tier. So send me a message if you'd like details about that, or you can find it on my page as well. So the doors for Life Purpose Accelerator are open now. So with these, tier 1, journey from unconsciousness to consciousness, and you're frustrated because you know there's better, you're doing all the things, it's not working, blah, 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 blah. Let's move into tier number 2. And I want to say tier number 2 and tier number 3 can be a little bit melded, if you may, but that just depends where you're at in these tiers, like where you are on the journey right now, right? So let me try and find different colors, but maybe the purple is what wants to be here right now. So Eclipse tier, I spelled it right, check it out. Eclipse tier number 2. Okay, Eclipse tier number 2. Let me bring this down so you can see what I'm writing. Okay, so I like my little arrows. Weird feelings. There's also, if you're conscious of like the eclipse dates and stuff like that, and you're, like keeping an eye on them. Yeah. I just want to point out, so about a week before the first eclipse, which is usually a partial eclipse, happens, well, it's a partial eclipse, a week before that, there will be feelings of like euphoria, feeling very floaty, peace, love, gratitude, By the way, you might also feel these feelings as we come into the eclipse. Like even if you're in any of these, right? It's almost like as it all sort of comes together, or they're coming into alignment, this little part here, this little space here, before they actually hit and the veil goes like this, this, as they sort of come together, if you may, it can feel like no matter where you're at in the tier cycle or the tiers of the eclipses, you might still feel these feelings. So a week before the eclipse, so I should have said this before, but a week before you might be feeling that. And like the floaty, like very ungrounded is another word for it, yeah? Ungrounded, you know, feelings, like everything's gonna be okay, like all these things, yeah? So if you keep an eye out, like, and you just type in like eclipse, what are we now? So eclipse May 2022, and you can type in your local area, so like Brisbane, Australia, like you can type in your local area. So I'm obviously local to Brisbane, well, outside of Brisbane, but Brisbane's the closest city. So you can like type into Google and it'll bring up all the dates and times for you over the entire year. You can even type in, yeah, just the month or whatever, like whatever month you're in when you're watching this, and do it, right? And you can just keep track of it. It's good to keep track of it, actually, as an empath, as an intuitive, psychic healer, whatever you want to call yourself, sensitive to energies, right? Because when you're, you know, like aware of them, we can ride these tiers a lot easier. Because even if we're in tier 3, which is like a big space of everything's fine and I'm good and you're accelerating forward, right? This tier 2 is like a weird in-between feeling of the both, and you can be flicking to and from the pain train, let's call it. Whether you're conscious or unconscious to the pain train, you can be flicking to and, you know, from. The tier 2 is the flicking to and from. I'm just going to write that on there. Flicking to and from. And it's almost like you're trying to rebalance into another reality as well with these tiers, if that makes sense. So yeah, so the week before the eclipse, you can be feeling this. And like I said, no matter which tier you're on, you can be feeling these ones, yeah? Okay. Yes, Phil, enjoy. Lee says, good to see your hand is better. No, it's not better, actually. I just don't have the thing on it, because when I'm just sitting at my computer working, it's actually, yeah, I have the thing on and off all the time because it like gets sore up. It's still broken. I need a second surgery. It's like long healing, right? Anyway, don't want to talk about it, but yeah, it's not fixed. If you look at it, it's like, actually, Anyway, so yeah, holding up with these things. Okay, I feel like I need a little stand-up whiteboard, but I do like drawing like this. Anyway, okay, so Temple says, is that why I have broken down crying with gratitude for the trees and grass glistening from early thunderstorm? Oh, yeah. Yep. When we're in this tier 2 as well, what happens is like the weird feelings, I don't know if like veil thinning is the right word. Veil thinning, okay. Open, sensitive, aware. It's almost like everything is heightened. Almost like, I don't take drugs anymore, but I used to take recreational drugs many years ago before my spiritual awakening. Like this heightened sense of connection to the universe, to, you know, all those things. Yeah. Like it's like a heightened sense of feeling, a heightened sense of connection, a heightened, you're just more connected, open. The veil's open. Yeah. That's what's really going on in a way, right? So, what also happens at this tier 2, and so these, like, you know, week before eclipse feelings can be carried over into tier 2. It's probably why I'm talking about them here. So deja vu can be really strong, but there can also, what I've noticed over the years is this deja vu, but it's different. And I think it needs a different word, but I don't know what that different word is for it. Yeah. So it's deja vu is strong, but it's not deja vu. It is. And then it's like, this is weirder than deja vu. This is like, and I've been speaking to a lot of people about it this week in particularly, it's like realities are merging, or what I try and describe it as like, not just realities merge, but this, it's interdimensional realities are merging or open. Like if the veils have been pulled back and they're thin and everything is heightened and we're so innately connected, it's like you can literally walk into another realm. Like, I know it sounds crazy, but if you know what I'm talking about. Like who's experienced deja vu before? Like who's experienced deja vu where you literally like in a double reality or something, like, yeah. Okay, and this comment, so Michelle says, this is a perfect explanation of the space between where the veil is thin. Exactly, yeah. This happens to me near and close to all eclipses. Yes, exactly, right? That's what we're talking about. Last week I had a huge amount of downloads and I never felt as aware as I have been feeling. Grateful for your live tonight. Yeah, you're so welcome. And yeah, and that's the thing, because the veils are like thin and pulled back, if you may. And another way to try and describe it, because how do we describe something we don't really know, but we can feel it and we're like trying to put words on it that's like out of this world. It doesn't work. But anyway, you get the point. It's also, like I always say, it's like, I don't know. So like a moon and a planet, or whatever, a solar system and a planet, it's like they bump up against each other in the universe or whatever, and they're bumping up against each other. And then I don't know if it's like the deja vu then sort of merges or something. Sorry, the deja vu is a representation of the planets and stuff merging, like, yeah, of the planes coming together. Exactly, Amy, exactly. It's like different planes coming together and crossing over each other. It feels different. Yeah, and that's exactly what, when I try and describe it, I'm like, whatever's happening, it's like they're bumping into each other and merging, and whether they go away again or whether they actually merge and this is creating a whole new reality, I mean, who really knows, right? But it's that, yeah. So yes, and just back to the nature. So nature can be very talkative, you may, like super heightened awareness of the connection, and what it is your connection. Like, and this is the thing between like unconsciousness and consciousness, is that we are always connected. Oops, sorry, it's back to front. We're always connected, right? Like our connection to source, spirit, our soul, whatever it is, we are always connected. Even in the unconsciousness of our reality, or whoever we are or whatever, that person, us, whoever it is that we're noticing is unconscious, is still connected to source. They're just unconscious of their connection, right? And that applies across the board to any area of your life. It's not that you're not connected to it. The reality is still there, but you're just unconscious of that reality, and then you become conscious of it, right? And so with nature's always connected, but it's like during these times we can feel like more connected, or the weird sort of energies, or we might see ghosts, or like, spirits walk past, or we see a flash and we're like, what was that? Or, like the veils are thinner, where more, everything's heightened. Yeah. So downloads are very, very potent around this time as well. So meditating and like really honing your skills around this time is like super, super potent around these times of the eclipses. Yeah. Okay. No worries, Lily. Just checking. Okay. Hi from Florida, Misty. So Jenna says, I've had lots, and it is a different weird, like meeting people I haven't, but I have been so weird. Yeah. It's like, I know this person, and you see people and you're like, and that for me, that's also a form of deja vu, I think. Like when you're walking down the street and it's like, everyone looks familiar, and it's just like, it's almost like a deja vu, but it's a different form, because you're just like, I'm just like, in those moments, I'm like, I'm really meant to be here right now. I am so on purpose and so in alignment. Like everything is as it's meant to be. That's what I say to myself anyway, so I don't freak out. No, I don't know. That's what I truly believe. Find your own thing, but that's what I do. So Gabby says yes, and recently, yeah, for the the deja vu, right? Sorry, I'm getting really hot. It's like my face is going like a red, like shiny beetroot or something. It seems like. I think like it's supposed to be 26 here today, and I'm like, it's supposed to like rain all week, which I think a thunderstorm might come over this afternoon. Apparently it's supposed to get lots of rain here in Australia again. Interesting. It's another conversation for another day. And it's just gotten really hot, and here it is lunchtime, I guess. Okay. House heats up in the daytime. But it's really cold otherwise. Anyway, back to the point. Okay, the story. Okay, so Jenna says, and events and places but never have been there, the oddest things. Yeah, and this is where I was talking about like the weird feelings. Yeah, so the weird feelings, and it's like the interdimensional. So this is where I was saying where deja vu but different. I'm just going to write interdimensional on there, and because it's let me just move this back, that'll help. I'm just going to write it here because it's right down the bottom. So interdimensional, I want to say travel, but it's not travel. You know, if we look at the reality of reality, it's not even travel, because reality is not what we think. And I know you guys know that, or we wouldn't be here, right? And so, you know, when we look at the interdimensional, it's literally, like I say, it's like the merging, like as I always describe it, it's like, you know, planets, solar system, whatever it is, realities, you know, bumping up against each other, they merge, and whether they come apart again or whether they just merge into a whole new expansion of evolution of consciousness, because isn't that how it's supposed to work? You know, like when I say interdimensional, I'm just going to leave it as that, not even travel. It's because it's interdimensional, like we can literally be in that. And it's interesting because in Transcendence, we're on week 5 of the 6-week, you know, journey that we go through in Transcendence. Like there's an activation that happens this week, and it literally is like pulling these interdimensional realities into reality now. Yeah, they could be portals, definitely, like, you know, who knows what they are, but, you know, like definitely could be a portal. And, you know, and when I spoke deeply about this in Transcendence, actually, because the activation this week is literally like pulling the reality in, but it's like, it's so hard to describe, and it's a feeling, but the interdimensional is really how I can describe deja vu, but not deja vu, because deja vu is almost like a same, it's the same reality. It's not, but it's the same, right? Everything's changed, but it's the same. Whereas interdimensional is more like, this has just come in. And now it's like different, but it's different to deja vu. Yes, it's very interesting. Amy says, it's like different planes coming together and crossing over each other. Oh, yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, we spoke to that. Because yeah, exactly what you feel. Like that's how I always describe it to people. It's, yeah. Temple says, feels like my mind leaves for a second and something feels familiar, and then I snap back to myself and know I've never been here before. Yes. And you know what? Like in Avalon and the priestesses, like that is, you know, and you have to understand that this is also your clairvoyance, and these are your visions, and this is like, this is your intuition opening up to these realms of the truth of reality. Third eye chakra consciousness is about seeing the truth of reality. Like if there was one word to describe third eye chakra consciousness, it's truth. But actually there's 2 words, it's truth and relationships. And it's our relationship to reality. It's our relationship in the interdimensional reality. Like it's deep, right? So it's back to your comment. Yeah, so when you say like, feels like my mind leaves for a second and something feels familiar, and then I snap back to myself and know I've never been here before. Like this is, or I'm covered in goosebumps as I say it, like this is your clairvoyance. And you know, I know we're talking about eclipses and the veils and stuff like that, but please know that this is daydreaming as well, what we call daydreaming. They're like, what do they teach us in society? And it's cool. Don't daydream, come back. Like, why are they doing that? Because they don't want us to know our power, right? Don't get me started. But daydreams are a form of your clairvoyance. So we have nighttime dreams, and some people are like very clear that, you know, they're highly clairvoyant in their night dreams, right? And the daydreams are the same. The daydreams are your clairvoyance, like in that. So it's like, you know, when you catch yourself, don't like, oh, like brush it off. Like, what was I doing? Like, hang on a sec. Where was I? What was those messages? Where was the vision? Like, it's same when we come out of a night dream, you know, when we wake up and we're like, oh, my dream. And we're like trying to like stay in the dream. Who does that? Have you guys done that before? Start training yourself to do that with your daydreams. Yeah? Like snap your, oh, hang on, where was I? Take me back. wherever you were. I'm doing it up here because I sort of see it up here. I don't know, whatever. Yeah, you get it, right? So yeah, and so when you know, experience these things, obviously you can freak out about it, or you can be like, I'm highly clairvoyant and my intuition is increasing and I'm becoming acutely clear in understanding what my intuition is showing me, in understanding the language of my intuition and what it feels, blah, 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 blah. Super important, yeah? To affirm and take your power back and go like, I'm getting clearer in what my intuition is showing me and understanding what it's teaching me. Even if you don't, you say those things and you're going to start to get more and more information, yeah? Okay. Lee says, I've been seeing lots of spirits and vivid dreams, reality dreams and out-of-body things, watching myself from above. Yes, I've had a client say something similar to me as well, about that as well. And so this is part of the eclipses. Yeah, this is part of the eclipse energy. These things happening will be more potent around these times. Yeah, and this is where staying grounded, taking care of yourself, making sure that your spiritual cleanliness is like on point, because we are more open, the veils are more thin, like those things. Like it's so important to make sure those practices are kept up to date, grounded, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, and so vivid dreams, the reality dreams. So dreams have also changed over the past 5 years. So you know how like, if we think back to what time was, like time is very different now to what it was 5-10 years ago. Dreaming and the dream state is also. Why? I personally feel because consciousness is awakening and people are shifting and changing. And when we're talking about the realities merging and it's like the solar system or whatever it is, like, as an example, okay, it's bumping up against whatever it is, and like, is it merging and disappearing and going off again, or is it literally merging into another level of consciousness? Well, I personally feel it's this one, okay, and this is where it's integrating, hence why people are waking up. Okay, when we integrate something, we wake up, we go from unconsciousness to consciousness, and we can't go back to sleep. Sorry, it's back to front. We can't go back to sleep as much as we want to try, right? And that's why you can't stop consciousness awakening. No matter what you try, you can't go back to sleep as much as we want to, but even the powers above us or want to control us, like once consciousness is awakened, you can't put it back to sleep. It doesn't happen that way, right? It doesn't happen. It's a bit like a child grows up, you can't go back to being a child. Well, you can mentally maybe, but physically you can't go back to being a child, right? It's the same sort of deal. There's some things that are only one way. Interesting. Anyway, all right, let me keep going with this. So, and Nicole says, the dreams are next level weird and so realistic, more so than waking life. Okay, thank you. That's what I was talking about, the dreams. Dreams are different these days. And it's so important to understand, okay, and this is what I also say and teach in my Trust Intuition course, that just because somebody has passed over, like say if you lost a deceased loved one, right? Deceased loved one, a person has died and they've crossed over to the other side, so to speak. They have not magically become an angel and the best spirit guide and take all their word of advice because the same personality exists when that person dies. The same level of consciousness exists when that person dies. The only thing that happens is that the veil of physicality is removed and now they're facing all the shit that they were still blind to when they were in the physical body. That's the only thing that happens. In the dream state, it is so important to understand that the different, like as you say, like the dreams are next level weird and like so real. It's like you come out of the dream and you're like, hang on, am I actually in reality now? Like, do you know what it is? Inception. Have you seen the movie Inception? Like that shit is real, okay? And so when you understand that the dream state is just another realm and the dream state is just another portal and the dream state is just another dimension, okay? These interdimensional veil thinning, deja vu is strong, deja vu but different, so it's almost like there's different layers of deja vu. Like I'm calling them deja vu, but we've discussed that they're not deja vu. It's something else that we don't have a label for yet. So deja vu is strong, deja vu is different, and then there's the interdimensional. So we can feel that, and depending on what tier you're at, right? Whether it's tier 1, 2, and 3 that we're talking about on this live stream today, right? And depending on your consciousness level and all that sort of thing, I don't like using levels, but you know, some people are more awake and understand more things about consciousness, and some people are still learning, right? There's no judgment, it's just there's different people, right? So depending on where you're at, the one thing I want you to take away from this live stream, there's lots of things, right? But especially if you're having very vivid dreams, I want you to understand that just like we can get in our car and drive to the shop or drive to wherever you're going or work or whatever you're doing, right? In your dream, you can also do that. And that is as real as it is in this, I want to say this real life. We're told this is real life, okay? Hang on. We're told that this is real life. When actually, is it? Right? We're still deciding that one. So, okay. Let me check here. The thing that I want to say, so the thing to take away from this, and it's really, really important, is that there is a, okay, what am I trying to say here? There's no differentiation between your dream state and what we call and what we are taught is the physical world. It's just that now those veils are also becoming thinner, and the separation between your sleeping dream state that are now becoming so real, like there are so many people that come to me and tell me my dreams are like real, and I'm like, because they are. And actually what has changed over the years is that the veil has become thin, because once we are conscious, we can't go unconscious again, and we can't, you know, stop consciousness awakening. So once the veil starts to become thin of the consciousness awakening, everyone's shifting, all these realities are merging and we're integrating and becoming whole and bigger and whatever that's happening, right? Like you can't stop consciousness awakening. So the dream state, you can't, what's the message coming through? You can't stop, whoever's you can't stop the truth about reality and the veils of reality, covered in goosebumps. You can't stop that from awakening. You can't, I'm covered in goosebumps, guys, truth bumps. Here's the message. You can't stop the veils of reality thinning. We might, and this is what I also have found as well over the years, that every eclipse cycle, every eclipse, consciousness is awakening. Consciousness, like it's becoming thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner, and every eclipse season is like it's thinner, the veils are becoming thinner. Reality, these interdimensional realms where over the eclipses is like so like, wow, it's so tangible. One day that's going to become normal, and the reason that the world people are doing the things that they are is because they don't want us to know that truth, but a lot of us do, and you can't stop consciousness awakening. Yeah, I've said that for years. So, okay, the really important thing about the dreams before I move on to the tier 3, okay, and speaking about tier 3, is they are trying to infiltrate dreams. And I'm not saying this in a way to scare you out of all your dreams, because not all the dreams are like this, but I personally have a dream, and I just want to share this because it's an important message, okay? So where's the truth that we're experiencing in our dreams? Awesome question. Okay. So I'm just going to share with you something that happened, and I want to say deciphering your dreams is a skill, straight up. Deciphering your intuition is a skill, straight up. This is what I teach, right? This is what I work with my clients. This is what I help you to decipher the messages, understand this, that, so you know your personal intuition and what it's teaching you, etc., etc. That's what I do with my clients, right? We do many things, but there's definitely a huge thing, because when you understand that, that's why you don't need to come and see me again, right? Okay, so, the dreams, the point. Okay, so I'm just sharing. One day I had a dream here. It wasn't long after I moved into this house, and I woke up and I was like, that wasn't a dream. Like, okay, number one, how do we decipher the truth in our dreams? You wake up and you know. Yeah, you're like, I know. Yeah, that's the truth of it. Okay, trust that, number one. Okay, how do you decipher the truth in your dreams? I woke up and I was like, that wasn't a fucking dream. And this is where the interdimensional realities are like so tangible and real. We know. We know when we're on our soul dream state, and we know when we're like, well, that was like an infiltration. That was an inception. That was And we get to choose what we do in that dream, just like we do in everyday life. We can play along with it, and we can give our power away and we can go into this relationship and we can do this like we do in our physical life. And we're like, why the fuck did we do that again? Our dream state is no different. Please take this away with you. There is no separation between dream state and reality, because they're all interdimensional dimensions that are like, what I'm sort of getting the message as we talk about this is separate. They've all been separated in our consciousness and psyche and like, you know, all the things that they're doing to keep us asleep. They've separated all of these because they don't want us in oneness. Fuck, this is a powerful message coming through. And so all of this is happening, but the reality is those veils can't stay concrete walls forever. And the more people that wake up, the more it's like melting, and we're coming back to this virginance of oneness, which is actually a synergistic motion of our heart energy and the person that we are and the being that we are, just living in all this synergistic reality. And this is why this is like the merging that we can feel. These interdimensional realities are like coming in and merging and coming back to oneness and wholeness. This is huge. I'm covered in freaking goosebumps. Now, like I said, when I first moved into this house, it was late half of 2020. So back to my dream. Fuck, that was a powerful message. Let me just honor how powerful that was, because I'm covered in goosebumps. Truth bumps, as someone once said on my live stream, and I'm like, that's exactly what they are. When you feel that truth bumps wash over you, feel goosebumps, it's spirit speaking, it's truth. It's a clairsentient feeling. Yeah, it's a clairsentience, right? So again, I teach all this deeply in Trust Intuition in my course. So your clairsentience is one of them. Clairvoyance, clairaudience. We've got many ways we receive our intuition. Your clairsentience is your feeling. When you're covered in goosebumps and truth bumps, as we call them, thanks to whoever said that on my live stream once time. I didn't say that. I didn't coin that. It's not mine. You know, like that. Truth bumps is like spirit speaking to you. They're like, are you listening to that message? I'm like, okay, I'm honoring that. I'm honoring it. I see your comments. Let me just speak to them so they don't go off my page. Let me quickly check here. So in our words, we manifest what we dream about if it's something we fear. Okay, that's something that we've been taught, okay? And something that we have to remember is that there's different stages of awakening. And when I write my book, which I'm so close to like delving into on a very deep basis, because I've just been cleaning up and whatever. Anyway, the point is I'm really excited because I'm going to go into deep awareness about all these different layers of consciousness, of awakening in my book. So when you say like, you know, we're processing something in our dream state that we fear, and I'm like, yes, there's a different, our dreams, like, and this is the thing, just like there's different, this is going to sound a little bit weird and not really make sense, but it's a way I can try and describe it. Okay, so you know how, like I said, we can get in our car and we can drive to the shop, or we can drive to the pub, we can drive to the beach, we can drive to our football match, we can drive to our netball match, we can drive to, I don't know, wherever you're going. We can get on a plane, we can go to Europe, whatever, okay? Our dream state is the same. When we go to sleep, we can go to here or here or here or here, or we can stay here. Like, as a way to try and describe it, okay? And hang on, what was I talking about there? I don't want to lose this as an important message. So, because when you said, so in our words, we manifest what we dream about if it's something that we fear. Like yes and no and maybe, and who actually really fucking knows. And this is why I always say trust your intuition, okay? And that's why I say there's different levels and stages of awakening and all these things, because like that is an aspect of what we do in our dreams. There's also different interdimensional realms and places that we can travel and or we visit and or come to us in our dreams. So back to the story of when I first moved in, sorry, it's getting hot here. Into this house, and I had this dream and I woke up and I'm like, that was an infiltration, that wasn't a dream, like, do you remember whatever I called it, but you could say it was like that. And basically, like, I was on this property, but it wasn't this property, but I was on the property and the fence line, right? And I was doing something in a paddock. I was working in the paddock, which I don't do because like I don't go in the paddock and work in the paddock, but anyway, that's what I was doing in the dream, and I was working in the paddock, and then like these 3 men walked up. And, you know, it's the barbed wire fence, it's the, you know, it's the paddock boundary, whatever. And they walked up and I was like, you know, hi, like, you know, and I can't remember exactly, but it was like they wanted to test me. And, you know, that was in 2020. That's when all the COVID stuff really hit worldwide and everyone was in it and whatever. And, you know, in the testing, like they wanted to test me, and it wasn't for COVID, but it was like testing my DNA, testing my blood, testing where I came from. Who am I? I'm different. Like that was what it was. And they were like, we want to test you. And I was like, no, nope. And, you know, and I can't remember exactly now, it was a long time ago, but I remember so clearly it was like they wanted to test my genetic line, they wanted to test my bloodline, they wanted to see where I came from because I was different, like where that was. Like, and this is not an ego, like, oh, I'm different. This was like, you know, like who I am. I know who I am. I don't get sick. You know, I'm always healthy. I like, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't play in that realm, you know what I mean? And it was like they were trying to figure that out, because on a physical level, that's really what's happening in the world, is they're trying to figure out the DNA, bloodlines, all those, like it's what it's all about. Like the tests are fucking DNA tests, like let's be real. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and everybody's hitting heart in the grief because we're shifting into 5D consciousness. We're like the consciousness in the world is shifting, right? People's hearts are awakening. Consciousness is awakening. Everybody on this planet in a societal, you know, avenue has been shut down in their heart since they were fucking born and before, right? Like that's what's happening. And so as everyone's awakening, they have piles and piles and piles and piles of grief piled up. The main sort of thing, of course, there's different like symptoms with COVID, okay? But the main thing is people have fucking pneumonia. Pneumonia is fucking grief. Look it up in the metaphysical book. Like people need to bawl their fucking eyes out. Like, let's be real. I get really angst about this because I can see it so fucking clearly, right? And so the thing is like, you know, they're like, we're going to test you. I'm like, no, right? So I came out of that dream and I was like, that was not a dream. I'm like, wow, they're infiltrating into people's dreams because they're not getting through to people. Like the people they're trying to like, do you know what I mean? Like we're not having a bar of it. And so they're infiltrating into dreams. Now, when you ask, well, how do you know what's truth? And I'm like, you know when somebody, you know, on the street is like someone you need to stay clear of because they're carrying a gun or a knife, but you don't know that, and they're high on drugs, but you don't know that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you just intuitively sort of like, no, not going to walk down that dark alley late at night because I know I'll get hurt. Like, it's just, it's a common sense, like intuitive, like that wasn't a dream. Don't think about it, your first thing, okay? And like I said, I don't want to scare you with this, but why I'm sharing it is because it is important. And you will know, and you have to remember that in your dream, you also have power to do whatever the fuck you want and stand up for yourself or not. Like in that dream, I was like, no, you're not testing me. Like, and that's what I mean. It was real. It wasn't like a la dream and all these things happen. It was like, these people walked up to me. I was working and I was like, no, I could have said yes. Oh, okay. Fuck no. Because I wouldn't do it in real life, they're also trying to do it. I'm like, no. Right? I'm like, this is interesting, okay? The reason we're talking about dreams is because there's so many different layers to it. I could write a book about it, blah, 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 blah. There's heaps I cover in dreams and third eye chakra consciousness, actually, because that's where it comes from. So, but the dreams over the eclipses and the eclipse seasons will be like more prevalent because the veils are thinned back, the reality is emerging, whatever it is, another layer of consciousness is awakening, okay? And depending on where you are in these eclipse tiers, right, we've gone through number one, okay, and the unconscious number one and the conscious number one, and it's like this movement through into the eclipse number two, and you have like weird feelings, right? And by the way, like I said, eclipse number two is like you're flicking to and from number one, okay, and you're in the middle, and we're going to work on number three right now, okay? So eclipse two is like you're moving from this reality to this reality. You know, you're kind of pretty well here, but it's also like bits of this will come in, and then you're sort of moving into number three, which is what we're going to talk about. So little recap. So remember, a week before the eclipse, roughly, okay, you'll be feeling like euphoria, floaty sort of feeling, which is like an ungrounded feeling with a lot of peace, love, gratitude, like everything's just like, oh, everything's gonna be all right, and I feel so connected, and it's like this euphoria sort of feeling, right? But what's happening is like the veils are thinning, you're more open, you're sensitive, like everything's heightened, like this heightened sense of awareness and connection to everything. You're very aware. Lots of deja vu. Deja vu is really strong. And then there's another thing of deja vu that it's a very different feeling of deja vu, but it's different, but it's deja vu, but it's not, but we don't have a word for it yet. So we're going to use deja vu as different. And the interdimensional realities are like so present. Now, that's the other thing I want to finish on this dream thing is that the interdimensional realities can be very present when we're in this sort of state. And in the interdimensional realities, you know, if you're not so, I don't know, if conscious of them, or your skills aren't up, or you don't really practice spirituality on a daily basis to get your skills up and understand it, blah, blah, blah. You know, like you'll have more of those dreams where you're experiencing it in your dreams more, is my sort of, you know, feeling about that as well. Like the interdimensional worlds will be more in your awareness in your dreams rather than in your day-to-day state, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's what I'm getting the message with that. Just going to check these comments, and then we're going to go through number tier 3. Going through tier 3. Okay, so Temple says 2 days ago, I was walking through my living room. Mid-step, I was in a field with thousands of people glowing with golden light. By the time my foot touched the floor, I was in my living room and still felt that glowing from within. It's amazing. Yeah, and this is where I feel, and we were talking about this in our Trust Intuition training, I think 2 trainings, or maybe it was 3 trainings ago. You know, it's kind of like, and again, this is like the realities merging. So even when I first moved in here, it wasn't long after that, and some point it was in the early stages of living here, and I, like, my kitchen's, I don't know, down there, but it was the kitchen sink window, like, looks out, you know, so I'm like looking out, and I was like doing the dishes, and I heard it before I looked up, like horse and cart walking along the road, because there's a road just here, and I heard it, and I was like, what? And I was like, oh, there's no horse and cart, but there's horse and cart, and it was literally like olden day horse and cart, like walking along this road, and I was just like mid dishes, just like, it was not physically there, but it was, and it was like off they went, and I was just like, whoa. And this is like the whole realities, like if we look about the truth of reality and the realities merging, it's like this is the depth of what we've been told the truth about reality isn't reality, and I know you guys know that, right? And the quantum field and all the interdimensional realms and the timeline shifting and the whole thing, it's like, you know, like there's 2, if you want to say like parallel worlds. People understand parallel worlds. Like we look at parallel realities, but they're actually not parallel. They're actually existing on top of each other. Like these bubbles have merged, and they're still, the timelines are all here. And this is why we can quantum leap and change our reality and do the things, but it takes work and time. You know, like any skill takes time to build up, like 100%. Anyone who tells you it's not, it's lying, right? So, excuse me. So in those moments, right, when you're saying like it was all the golden people around, like the first thing you want to do is ask, what is that? Can I please have more information about that? And when it's those beautiful, like golden, like beautiful feelings, it's like, and this is now my new reality. I was just activated into a new frequency of my being, and this now stays with me forever, and this is normal. So we're activating and pulling this into our now because you just experienced that. Yeah. Danielle says, last night's sunset I saw was phenomenal. Bright oranges and sun rays beaming right up high into the sky, and blue skies, and the new moon. My gosh, it was so beautiful and phenomenal. Yes, these feelings of like the interconnected state, right? Gonna move into the 3rd tier in just a moment. Glad I'm here tonight. Awesome. Vishnu says, I was dreaming and then my alarm clock went off. In my dream, I was running around turning off the clock alarms, but it kept ringing, and I was running around trying to find the clock. Then I woke up and it was my clock going off. Sometimes we're like, I'm not ready to wake up. I don't want to come out of this dream. I don't want to, like, and sometimes there's so many different meanings to that as well. It kind of be like, it could be like, I actually am like hating on my reality right now. I don't like it, blah, blah, blah. And so like in the dream, you're like, I don't want to wake up yet. Like turn this damn thing off. And so you're coming, you know, and there's different layers of our dream state as we come back to this reality, if you may. So yeah, that's definitely happens. Nicole says, could we also be psychically attacked during our dream state, causing the weird dreams? 100%. 100%. You have to remember that just like if we were psychically attacked in physical reality, it's the same healing protocols. It's the same thing. Always remember there's no differentiating between your dream state and your physical state, and you have the power to control whatever happens to you in that dream. Do you know what I mean? Like you have a choice in the dream to choose it or not choose it, or choose something else. So important to remember, okay? people, I think we're taught as a collective society and almost like an unspoken collective infiltration of our consciousness, that in our dreams, you know, these stuff happens and we have no control over it, which is just what they've also been infiltrating into physical reality. Oh, you just have to do this thing and you have no control over your future. Just do this and this and this because we're telling you what to do. Same for dreams. Like I said, no difference between dream state and physical state. No difference between interdimensional realms and this realm because it's all freaking the same. We're just being told it's different. Okay. Jenna says, I was having a dream, but I was over the top of me watching myself sleep and can only see the dream through my above self. Yeah, a few people have had that recently as well. I need my mentoring. Send me a message. Link is in the title of this live stream. Life Purpose Accelerator is open, and this is my 12-month mentorship working with me one-on-one deeply. We talk about this stuff and all different things. There's nothing that is off topic, but you can see how deep we can go, right? If you've got a taste of this live stream. Temple says, my revelations seem to come up randomly. Thoughts just pop in my head and my whole body tingles with the truth. Yeah, exactly, right? And this is the truth bumps. This is like, are you paying attention to this message I just told you? She says, I never considered eclipses allowing them to come through. 100%. 100%. Fuck yeah, that's the juice. I know, right? How powerful this message has been streaming through. Oh my God. Oh my God. Hope you guys are being activated right now. Gonna go through tier 3 in just a moment. Acknowledge your source and honoring your beautiful channeling. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Deeply received. Amy says, once connected, no matter what happens or what one wants, there is no way to disconnect. Spirit, the universe, guides keep showing us synchronicities, bring everything back on focus. Yeah, 100%. Once you're awake, can't go back to sleep. Sometimes we want to, but we're like, nope. It's the only way. The only way is through it, as they say, right? I believe I was an addict for a reason. I can feel when there's truth and when it's bullshit. Yeah, and that's also, you're an ancient blooded healer and an indigo, and we just have that natural bullshit radar. So yeah, 100%. So for so long we've believed that this material world is all there is. So I've discounted those moments when I feel like everything is in line. Yes, right? And this is where you start to wake up to realizing all these things and you don't take it for granted anymore. You don't not pay attention anymore, right? This is the beauty about waking up and building your connection and getting mentoring or doing your own practice or whatever it is. Like, that's the purpose, so we can become, you know, the best version of ourselves and help others to wake up. Like, that's really what I believe, awakening the consciousness of humanity. Like, everyone's purpose at the basis in some way, shape or form is that, because it's about coming back to your heart, coming back to love, coming back to what you want to do, coming back to the synergy connection of where everyone is. And it's not just like, oh, it's all peace and love. And like, no, this is the reality of what makes us breathe. Is our fucking heart, is the breath of life that brings us to this moment. And this moment is all that it is. And this is the purpose, is to be here in this moment whilst expanding that through the breath. Yeah, it's an interconnectional game. So like all of me is in line and connected on one perfect timeline or in one perfect realm. Then separation, I guess that's the feeling. So the separation is the head and the heart. Yeah, and the disconnect from the heart. I guess that's the feeling, but it's the sedation or fragmentation. Yep, the disconnect between head and heart, and it's about integrating the two. Yeah. Because that's what I was saying. It's not all peace and love. It's about that reality of the heart. Sometimes it's tough love in that. Sometimes it's boundaries. Sometimes it's all the things. Like, and it is all the things. Yeah. So maybe it's a moment of connection to source, like perfect focus. Yes, and that's also called alignment. And anything outside of that is not in alignment. And it's also a choice to choose that alignment moment by moment. Yeah. So hard to explain, but it's happened to me throughout my life. Just always wrote it off as imagination, not knowing it's a dimension. Yes, and that's what we're taught as kids. Don't talk to your imaginary friends. Stop daydreaming. Like, and it's not our parents. It's the collective infiltration of society that they've been trying to control. That you can't suppress truth forever, and everybody's freaking waking up. And it's a celebration because we are. Okay, eclipse tier number 3. Eclipse tier number 3, which is the joy and acceleration of purpose. This is what we're doing. This is what number 3 is, joy and acceleration of purpose. We're already dropping into that. Did you guys feel it? We're already there. Of purpose. I was writing it here. eclipse tier number 3, joy and acceleration of purpose. Now, most important thing, just like we're talking about, so we're already leading into it, right? This, like I said, it's not all just peace and love. But within the peace and love is all the things, right? You can be in the greatest joy, peace, and acceleration of your life purpose. However, you can be dealing with, some important colors for this. You can be dealing with the deepest, darkest holes of reality that exist all the way down here. You can be facing the hardest, darkest things, but you can be living in this. Yeah? But the thing about eclipse number 3, right? Eclipse number 3. Tier number 3. I've been speaking for a long time. I was also on live stream in Transcendence group before I did this live stream, so I've been talking for a long time. There is a piece about being in eclipse tier number 3. You can be dealing with the deepest, darkest stuff in your life and in reality, but still be in the joy acceleration of your purpose. And the key that you have arrived at this level, if you may, is, there's not really a symbol for it, I'm just going to write it, is mastery. Is mastery. Is mastery of head and heart connection, is mastery of reality, is mastery of consciousness. Is that even a thing? Because I just think there's limitless, like, you know, acceleration and limits and expansion of that. And it's the same with mastery. It's not like you reach this like tier and you're like, you're done now. That's it. There's no more learning to do. Because there is. And what happens is that this happens at the same time as this. You can be in like the greatest celebration and the biggest like joys and wins and all the things coming in, and you can also be dealing with this at the same time. But the difference is, right, the difference is that you have mastered the aspects of reality, right? This is tier number 2, that take you from 1 to 2. Right? So it's like stage number 1, stage number 2, stage number 3 is actually all of it. It's the oneness. It's coming into that like understanding of yourself, of the consciousness of yourself, understanding how you get to play with reality, understanding how you get to be with your heartfelt emotions and be with your heart, feeling all of the emotions whilst you're still in reality and playing the game and doing the things and celebrating and expanding. With the expansion comes the clear out of the old, comes the clear out of that. And sometimes over the eclipses it can be heightened. Sometimes in between the eclipses it can be heightened, right? There's no wrong or right, but it's not like everything is like happy and joy and everything. I'm like, you can be dealing with death on your doorstep literally, and you can also be in the joy and greatest celebration of your life ever. And the difference is that you have come into a deep level of mastery over your reality, over your own shit and your own ego and your own bullshit, basically, and come into a space where you can be in eclipse tier number 3 for your whole freaking life. Because ultimately, that is the game of life. That is the purpose of life. There is no like, oh, you've reached this level of mastery and I'm out of here now. Like, no. Like, there's always there's always a back and forth, right, between these two, you know, like I said, oops, this is way, this is like, you know, the in-between stage, if you may, and this is this piece. But it's not that this never happens again. Of course, like, I personally believe that there's a part of us that are always unconscious, right? Because if we were truly conscious 100% of the time in all the parts of ourselves, we wouldn't be in this physical body. We would be in another dimension, dancing with the angels or some shit, I don't know. We would be back into soul consciousness and back into the little pieces of reality that are that, you know? Yeah. Yeah. The mastery spot. And there's different levels of it. And there's no like, you've made it, here's your gold medal. It's like, here's another level. Just when you thought you made it, there's another level. There's always stuff. And we get to learn how to be in this 99% of the time instead of the shit 99% of the time. But that takes skills, courage, dedication, commitment, discipline, working with people who know the drill, working with people who can accelerate you, just like that's what I do. So you might need to work with me. Send me a message. Life Purpose Accelerator is open. The reality is there's things that accelerate you in life, and it's who you hang around. It's who you spend most of your time with. It's what you're doing with your time and energy and your purpose and your life, and what you're choosing to do is to whether you accelerate or whether you stay stuck in the pain train and the pain cycle, and you're angry and you're awake, but you're angry because it's not shifting, and maybe you haven't chosen to work through joy and live through joy yet. Yeah? Half the time you don't even realize what milestones have just happened. Exactly. Are you celebrating? Are you walking forward in that? Are you with that? Or are you still separate to that and still in the pain train? Temple says, I feel like I must accept that I will never understand, because as soon as I grasp one concept, I'm being shown a new one, and that expands everything inside of me. Exactly. And this is where I think the attachment to being healed or being perfect. I'm like, no, there's stuff at every level. I've still got stuff. Look, I even wrote tear wrong or something. I'm not perfect at all. At all. Yes. Amy says, we work through the tears levels. Yes, thank you. I often feel a bit crazy, for lack of a better word. It speaks to my soul. Good. I hope it's shifted you. I hope it's activated you. I've been on live stream for freaking hours now. I'm going to jump off. Send me a message if you know that I'm the mentor for you. Life Purpose Accelerator is open. It's my 12-month container, my mentorship that we go deep in all the interdimensional things and so much more. There's ruby level or diamond level. I'm so excited to offer these 2 tiers that will call you at different points in time in the journey as well. So send me a message if you'd like more details about that, or the link is in the title of this live stream. You can find it on my page. You can find it on my website. I shall see you soon. Keeping it real as always.